Okay, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council to order, October 24th, 2017. Roll call.
Councilmember Hoft. Present. Gross. Here. Gill. Present. Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Here.
Okay, all council members and the mayor are present, as is the city clerk and acting city administrator, also city engineer Dan Holderness, and the city attorney and various city staff in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Gill, seconded by Goodrich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved. Citizen comments. Please state your name and sign in.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. My name is Rex Branstetter. I live at 2159 Lindcrest Drive here in Coralville. And I thought I'd take, on behalf of myself, I hope that I might speak for other Coralville residents when I say I want to take this time to say thank you to Mr. Bill Holt for his service to the community or his past elected term. I'd like to say thank you to the mayor, Mr. Lundell, and to Dr. Gill. And I'd like to say thank you to Lori Goodrich. They've each served a recent term, and hopefully some return. That would be my wish here this evening. Dr. Gill is running for a position, and so is Lori Goodrich, and so is the mayor. So from me to you, as a taxpayer, and as a friend, and as a neighbor, and as a Coralville resident, thank you for your time and efforts. As you know, it's not an easy job. You could be doing something else this evening with all your other time, but you're here. You're here for a reason, and that's to make a better Coralville a better and even better place, South Seth, an even better place. You know, Bill came to us. He hit the ground running. He won an election against a sort of a long-term council person, and quite frankly, I met with Bill. Many of us met with Bill, as I have met with many of other council people, with my little direction of life in Coralville. And I wouldn't say that Bill strayed one way or the other, but Bill served his term as Bill Holt, and I appreciate that very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your time. To my longtime friend Tom Gill and my friend Lori Goodrich, thank you both for your service and for what you do for Coralville. And John Lundell, who I first met when he came to town, and he joined the fire department with a bunch of us young guys who were dumb enough to get up in the middle of the night or smart enough to get up in the middle of the night and go help the town and hopefully inflict our training to help save lives and property. That was our job at the time, so thank you for that. I would like to tell you, too, as the Coralville historian, that the city of Coralville has been home for rock-solid leadership since our very first council meeting, July 12th, 1874. And since then, this town has been blessed with people dedicated to one thing, and that's for the betterment of the city of Coralville. No one offered their vote to anybody. No one offered their services to anybody. Nobody panders for vote. Nobody offers their vote for any services, any drives, any regimes, and none of that stuff. It all means Coralville, and that's I'm so impressed that you have all done that. So the only agenda here is what's good for the citizens and the people of Coralville. So thank you so much for that, and I hope to see a lot of you here in the future. Good evening.
All right. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you, Rex.
Is there any? Yes. I believe we have a honored guest tonight.
I'm Deb Summers, Lieutenant with Coralville PD. Obviously, you can hear Mats. He's kind of excited, so we should probably just get this out of the way. He's here to introduce himself.
He doesn't like the council meetings.
He's the newest member of the Coralville Police Department, and I'll let Brad tell you about him and answer any questions you have. He's the newest member of our department, and Brad is his handler, so I'll turn it to Brad.
Officer Brad Clark. Yeah.
Lieutenant said, Brad Clark. I've been in Coralville PD for about 3.5 years, and this is Mats. He's an 11-month-old German Shepherd. We got him from Northern Michigan Canine in Michigan, and last month we spent all of September up there training. We came back the last weekend of September, started on the road in October. He's trained in drug detection, tracking, article searching, and apprehension. He's still very much a puppy.
He's a puppy.
Couldn't have asked for a better dog. He's very friendly, loves people, and he's doing great so far.
He's beautiful dog.
He is.
Beautiful dog.
Likes you too.
It appears you've bonded well.
Yep.
I'd like
Get
to.
along great.
I'll say, Mats, you've got big paws to fill, though, with Ivan, so good luck.
I'd like to see him apprehend Mitch.
I got some jerky in my pocket.
No.
Wow.
Beautiful.
How do you spell his name?
M-A-T-Z.
Thank you.
And who gave him that name?
That was the breeder.
Okay.
So he originally came from the breeder in Mexico, trained there for a few months, then went to Michigan, trained for another 3 or 4 months, and then I trained with him for that last month.
There, now he's calm. Now he's calmed down.
Good puppy.
Well, we look forward to seeing you around the community.
We look forward to working. He gets a little bored at home, so we like it.
I bet.
Now he can just stay there the whole council meeting.
Nope. Too much going on.
If you want to make a dog park date, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak under citizen comments? Please.
Good evening, my name is Rowan Phillips. I live at 2015 Southridge Drive, Coralville. I'd like to inquire of the City Council in regards to a Freedom of Information request that I made earlier in the year, how I would request a public hearing on the information that was turned up in that request.
Can you offer any?
I'm not sure what he's asking. He presented 2 different Freedom of Information Act requests. We submitted answers to Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips had filed complaints with the Public Information Board, which I believe one he withdrew and one was dismissed. So I'm not sure what we're looking for at this point.
The information I'm looking for is in regards to violations of the city ordinances 145.09.3, which is the rental inspection program that's supposed to run every 3 years. As part of my Freedom of Information request inquiry, I turned up that the rental inspector has been inspecting biannually rather than every 3 years. And I'm kind of curious as to how we can find out how this would happen since at least 2011.
Okay. Well, I would advise you to work with the city staff, the city administrator when he returns, and the city attorney, and we can we'll take their advisement and move forward as they advise.
Okay. Now I've spoken with you via email a couple of times, and there's been 0 response. I've also spoken with Kelly Hayworth.
Yeah. Anything that's pending litigation and so forth, I don't respond. I turn it over to the staff to respond on behalf of the city.
Okay. So what would my procedure be from here then?
Contact either Kelly Hayworth or this Kevin Olson.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Mott's is a tough act to follow. Mike Schroeder, 717 19th Avenue. You've seen me before. I'm here to advocate for some sidewalk.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, after I visited with you last, I was walking on the sidewalk next to Camp Cardinal Boulevard in front of Quality Care and stepped in a hole that was very well disguised with grass. And luckily didn't hurt myself, fell forward. Instead of falling to the right into the street, or possibly to the left over a 6-foot retaining wall onto a parking lot. That's how close it is between the restriction of walking area next to Camp Cardinal Boulevard. Haven't you ever driven down Camp Cardinal Boulevard and come to that section right next to the strip and said, why didn't they put a sidewalk here? Because there's a beautiful 1.8-mile sidewalk from the creek over to Melrose that for some reason stopped. Okay? Moved here in '94. My daughter started at West High in '98. My house falls the first lot inside the 3-mile radius of West High. At that time, there wasn't a Camp Cardinal Boulevard. I'm not sure how they expected her to walk if she didn't pay for a bus, but we made other arrangements. But when if she had started West High after Camp Cardinal Boulevard, I still wouldn't let her walk that 3 miles, although we did that routinely as farm kids. Because of that 3-block stretch of sidewalk, that missing sidewalk from the strip over to the trailhead. There's 3 properties in that span. I assume the city would be in charge of putting the sidewalk in that swampy area from the creek over to the Mulford Plumbing. And there's the post office and there's Quality Care. Wide open space up to that point. The Quality Care has this retaining wall that is very close to the curb, and I'm sure some of it's in the city's easement. If I had fallen over that retaining wall, would the city's easement have covered my injuries, or would Quality Care be liable? I was even led at some point to, someone suggested that the city might have even helped Quality Care build the retaining wall that close to the street. Impediments to building a sidewalk might be the cost of the sidewalk. Compared to Coralville city budget, 3 blocks of sidewalk does make a dent. Along 25th Avenue, there is a sidewalk that crosses the tracks, and there's pedestrian crossing arms on each side. And someone suggested that that was a hassle dealing with the railroad. But you've done it, you know how to deal with them. You can put a crossing arm there if you put a sidewalk. And if the guardrail's necessary, then you can do it. But please don't go and put a guardrail up now in the grass next to that, that retaining wall. I was at a meeting on June 13th when you recognized 3 police officers, Dargenia, Barkoff, Nicholson, and a city worker, Nice, for exceptional action as first responders in saving a life. It was commendable, but not reported in the city's council meeting minutes was the token, tongue-in-cheek offer of a reward of $100,000. And I would offer the same reward to the city if they just get started on a sidewalk. Could we, please? And I'd like to read into the minutes of my comments. On a plaque under the picture of Tom Harkin at the trailhead, it says, the Coralville Trailhead is an important access point to users of all abilities. To enjoy the trail, Senator Harkin secured $1.25 million to support Coralville's vision for building the Clear Creek Trail and for making it accessible for all Iowans. His vision is that trails are an easily available wellness initiative and should be part of any wellness discussion. And finally, Senator Harkin championed health and wellness, energy conservation, accessibility, and land stewardship. That's all. I won't bother you till next spring. Don't tell me it's in the plan, because I know it's not.
Well, Mr. Schroeder, I can tell you on behalf of myself, I don't drive that street without thinking of you. So you've etched your need in my mind. And I will say that Kelly Hayworth said to me, I don't know, probably within the last month, that he had a meeting with the owner of Quality Care who wants to do some reconstruction of the office area for that business. And Kelly made the comment to me that maybe there's a way of incorporating room for a sidewalk into that project. So it's not coming as fast as I'm sure you would like it, but it's not forgotten either. So, but you're always welcome to come back and remind us, but it's in the works. I don't know, Dan, do you have anything to add to that?
Additional, no.
Yeah.
Mike, I'd just like to add that I recall the conversation as well. And I want to appreciate you coming, and I want to appreciate. I'm sure the frustration level is rising. This stuff doesn't, it's snail pace, but you are on our minds because I think of it too. I drive that road a lot, and I ride my bike on that road, and I think of you. So we're not giving up on you.
Well, after I stepped in the hole, I quit walking on the grass. I walk in the street now.
We're gonna. Well,
Even with the traffic pattern on Camp Cardinal Boulevard.
We're still trying to figure out a way. So it's not. We haven't forgotten about you.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else like to speak to us tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 5. Lot 2, Iowa River Landing, Part 2, public hearing. This is a public hearing on a proposal to dispose of some property in the Iowa River Landing. It's the parking lot that currently exists just north of the Scratch Cupcakery, across from street from Von Mauer. I'd like to open the public hearing. Are there any comments on this proposed disposal of property? Any written comments?
There were no written comments, and there were no other offers.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll close the public hearing then. There's no further action on this at this time. We'll come back in November probably and take action on disposing of this property. Item 6 is 897 Boston Way. It's also a public hearing on the intent to dispose of some property. There was an abandoned half of a duplex on this property that the city took possession of, and solicited proposals from groups that were willing to rehab it and return it back to a better condition, and hopefully for affordable housing proposal. So first I'll open the public hearing on the intent to dispose of this property. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And we received one proposal, and that was from Habitat for Humanity. We've worked with them successfully on other similar projects like this, and they are intending to rehab it and get it back into livable conditions, and then turn it over to ownership to a family that meets their criteria, and is also consistent with our criteria for affordable housing. Don?
Resolution approving disposal of certain real property at 897 Boston Way to the Iowa Valley Habitat for Humanity, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Hof, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 7, this is a building official, Jim Kessler, is going to tell us about this portion of an Outlot A, Dovetail Estates, Part 7. We'll do the building report, and department report, and P&Z report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request by Marlowe National LC for approval of a land use amendment. Trying to get the whole picture up here for you. I'll show you that later. Anyhow, for Outlot A, Part 7, Oakdale Boulevard overlay plan, and it's Dovetail Estates Part 7. This is located at the intersection of East Grantview Drive, East Grantview Lane, and on the south of this is Oakdale Boulevard. Now this lot currently along Oakdale Boulevard is part of the neighborhood commercial area as a part of the Oakdale Boulevard overlay plan. It's been vacant for several years now. There is some commercial development to the east of this. As you know, the convenience store is on the corner with a little strip mall. Then there's a larger building with the church in the top of it, and Thrive Gym just opened in the basement of that building. But this has been sitting vacant for quite some time, so the person that owns it would like to change a land use amendment for half of this lot, the northern part of this lot, which is this part of the lot right here. And he'd like to change it from neighborhood commercial to residential use. And the idea being that this could be developed residentially as the rest of the residential land along there has been developed. And it has been developed, the rest of the land, with fourplexes, threeplexes, and some fiveplex townhomes. Because along Oakdale Boulevard overlay plan, every residential unit has to have a ground level entry. They cannot be stacked units. So I don't want you to take this concept plan really seriously, but what this shows you is if this land use amendment is granted for the north half of this, it could develop residentially, probably the same as the rest of the neighborhood with fourplexes, with ground level entrances. The bottom half of it would remain neighborhood commercial to be developed commercially. And then there's another lot over here that could be developed commercially as well. Now, if you should recommend the land use amendment, the next step to this would be to go through, subdivide this into 2 lots, the north being residential development. It'd also have to be rezoned from a CPUD1 to an RPUD2 so that it was proper with the land use amendment as well as the zoning. So there's 2 more steps that have to take place should you approve this land use amendment, a rezoning and then a site plan for approval of whatever is finally submitted as far as development goes. Planning and zoning looked at this at their last meeting and recommended the land use be approved by a 7-0 vote.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Item C is a public hearing on this proposed land use change for this property. Are there any comments on this from the public? Any written?
No written.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing and consider the first reading of the ordinance. Don.
Ordinance number 2017-1011, an ordinance amending the Coralville Community Plan to reflect certain property generally known as a portion of Outlot A, Dovetail Estates Part 7, Coralville, Iowa, to be designated residential use in place of neighborhood commercial use. Is introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes. Item 8 is Lot 5, Coralville Industrial Park, excuse me, number 2, 4th edition. Building report and P&Z, please.
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. This is a request by Quality Care for the amendment to an IPUD site plan for Lot 5, Coralville Industrial Park, 4th edition. As you know, in this area, this is actually in the area that we were just talking about installing the sidewalk in. So this is James Street here. This is the post office complex, and then the commercial building behind that where the plumbing outfit is. And behind this is the, I'm sorry, this is actually James Street, I'm backwards, but this is the complex that is across the street from this. The Quality Care owns, it's been there for several years. And then on this side of this is another complex that is actually owned by Quality Care as well. So what they're asking to do is re-amend the site plan for the existing Quality Care storage sheds that are there and add 1 more unit in here. This is a 15-unit storage building that will be built just the same as the buildings that are already there, and I think I can show you this. So this is what this building would look like. It would be the exact same materials of all the buildings that are already there. So this is a perspective of the building. This is a north elevation, or this is actually the one that would face James Street. The south elevation would face the existing storage buildings that are already there, and then these are just end elevations of it. But it would be just a continuation of what he already has in the area. Same building materials, same style of building, same everything. It's just 15 more storage units there. And then in the future, he would like to be able to purchase that warehouse that's north of this, and then add onto that warehouse and even add more storage units in that area as well. So this is kind of his first step in his amendment to the PUD plan. This also was on the P&Z agenda, recommended for approval by a 7-0 vote.
Thank you. Open the public hearing on this PUD site plan. Are there any comments?
No written.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the amended PUD-B site plan for Lot 5, Coralville Industrial Park, number 2, 4th edition, Coralville, Iowa. introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Hoft. Discussion. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 9 is Lot 3, Coralville Industrial Park, Number 2, 6th edition. This is the third and final consideration of an ordinance that would allow the lot to be developed with a combination of commercial and industrial land uses. We've had presentations in the previous 2 meetings on this. It's the property that's basically just to the east of Kaler Collision Center and that area there.
It's directly east of Kaler Collision Center, east of 2000 James Street, in the cul-de-sac that, where James Street ends to the east. It's on that cul-de-sac. And it's an L-shaped building, combination of commercial storefronts facing to the east and to the north, and then behind each commercial storefront is a warehouse area.
Yep. Okay. Ordinance, Don?
Ordinance number 2017-1009, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Lot 3, Coralville Industrial Park, Number 2, 6th edition, from I-2 General Industrial District to IPUD-2 Industrial Plan Unit Development 2 District, is introduced for adoption and third and final consideration by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its third and final consideration. Item B for this same project is a resolution approving the PUD site plan for this project.
Resolution approving the PUDB site plan for Lot 3, Coralville Industrial Park, Number 2, 6th edition, Coralville, Iowa. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 10 is Lot 2, Iowa River Landing, Part 2. And this is second consideration of an ordinance that allow a 4-story mixed-use building that will be attached to the north end of the building at 920 East 2nd Street in the Iowa River Landing.
Ordinance number 2017-1010, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Lot 2, Iowa River Landing, Part 2, from CPUD 1 Plan Unit Development 1 District to CPUD 2 Commercial Planned Unit Development 2 District. Is introduced for adoption by Councilmember, Hoft, seconded by.
Second.
Second consideration.
Second by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross. Aye. Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
The ordinance passes its second consideration, all ayes. Item 11 is Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements, Phase 2 assessments. Excuse me. These are 3 resolutions that are for a special assessment process on properties that benefit for turn lanes and installation of traffic signals at Wheaton Boulevard and a part of the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2 project. So basically between Oakdale Boulevard and Forever Green Road, properties along that area. The hearing on the adoption of the proposed resolution of necessity will be on November 28, 2017. So the first resolution, Doc?
Resolution setting value of lots for Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Second resolution?
Resolution approving the preliminary schedule of assessments for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Hope. Discussion?
Yeah, as shown on the schedule, we're assessing $566,000 of a $8.5 to $9 million project. So this is not and most of the assessments are on 40-acre parcels. There's a couple that are some of the platted lots already, but as you can see from the schedule, those assessments are way lower than the 40-acre lots that will be developed in the future.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. And finally, the third resolution?
Resolution of necessity proposed and directing notice of hearing thereon for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion? Again, that hearing will be November 28th. Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 12, entry sign wall project. This is the entry sign on the southwest corner of First Avenue and 9th Street. I would just entertain a motion to approve the pay estimate number 4 to Kalachi Construction for this sign project.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Hoft, I believe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is approved. Now we'll consider a resolution accepting the project is completed.
Resolution accepting the entry sign wall project, First Avenue and 9th Street is completed, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion. Roll call.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 13, Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2 Duct Bank Project. Again, similar to the previous item, this is a motion to approve the final pay estimate to TD&I Cable Maintenance for this project. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'll say moved by Gross, seconded by Hoft. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, pay estimate is approved, all ayes, and accepting the project on the resolution.
Resolution accepting the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 2 Duct Bank project as completed, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Hof, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion. Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 14, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Program Disaster Recovery, National Disaster Resiliency Contract. And this is simply a resolution setting a public hearing for this project on November 14th. It's for completing our 2 pump station rehabilitation projects.
Resolution setting a public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Program Disaster Recovery, National Disaster Resilience Contract 11, NDRI-010, status of funded activities, SOFA, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
That is approved, all ayes. Hearing is on November 14th. Item 15 is a resolution of intent to enter into an lease agreement with Fairway Suites Development LLC for construction of a hotel near the Brown Deer Golf Club. This is setting a public hearing on this proposal for November 14th.
Resolution of intent to enter a lease agreement with Fairway Suites LLC, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Hoft. Discussion?
Yes, this is actually the lease agreement for the ground lease. There are numerous steps that are going to have to be passed before anything gets built there, including lease terms, site plans, design of the hotel, everything like that. But just to get the process moving forward, before you have a lease over 3 years, you have to have a public hearing. So we want to get this part going, but there are numerous steps the council will see before this project comes to fruition.
Very good. Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Hoft.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 16 is the Iowa Arena Project. This is a resolution approving a consulting services agreement with Anthony James Partners for reviewing the many systems that need to be coordinated during the construction of the project.
Resolution approving a consulting services agreement with Anthony James Partners to review the systems for the Iowa Arena project, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion.
Yeah, this is just an agreement that normally the architect would, this is one of the things we did not award the architect to do in their architectural contract. So this is to make sure all the systems, number one, function correctly. Number two, we're getting the best bang for our buck. So they will look at design and make sure that those are the most efficient systems we could have in that place. And these are experts that Stafford Sports had recommended. So this is the time they need to come into place when the design is getting finalized.
And this is a one-time?
This is a one-time agreement with these people. This and the 150 includes all expenses that travel, anything that would occur. So we did put a cap on that also.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
I move to approve the consent calendar items A through EE inclusive.
Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Hoft. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved as presented. City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got a couple things. First, I'd like to talk about some upcoming construction on First Avenue in association with our 6th to 9th Street improvements project. On this Thursday, the 26th, and on next Monday, October 30th, and on Tuesday, October 31st, there will be single lane closures on First Avenue between north of 6th Street up to south of 9th Street. And these will allow two things to happen. One, the Kranich Railroad will finish the installation of the improved and widened crossing of their rail lines off of First Avenue for the upcoming street project. And the other thing is Mid-American Gas will install their new gas mains along First Avenue, this section, again in anticipation of the road project. The road project is on schedule for a January letting to the DOT, and so you'll see construction on First Avenue in this area between 6th and 9th from March to November of 2018. So that's in anticipation of that. And I guess the other thing is I just would remind the people in the audience and the public that before our next council meeting there will be an election to be held, and there's voting at the library on Sunday, November 5th, and then the regular voting is on Tuesday the 7th at the regular polling places. So I encourage people to research the candidates and go out and vote.
Thank you, Dan. Mayor's report. First thing I want to say is before tonight's council meeting, we had a very appropriate and beautiful ceremony dedicating a bench in recognition and in honor of former Mayor Jim Fawcett, who left us this past May. And as you all know, Jim was on the city council for 18 years, followed by another 18 years as mayor, and was a great mentor to me. And he now has a wonderful park bench dedicated in his honor that his family and others can enjoy. So that was a nice ceremony, a little brisk, but it was a nice ceremony. The other item I just wanted to mention is that we did just release a news release this week saying that the upcoming year there'll be 2 Planning and Zoning Commission vacancies and 1 Civil Service Commission vacancy. So if you're interested in getting involved in city government, it's a good way to do that. Turn in an application. You can download an application from the website or stop in and see the city clerk. And I believe those applications are due November 22nd.
Yes, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I encourage anyone that's interested to turn in an application to serve on that. I think that's it for me. We'll have committee and council member, or no, excuse me, city attorney's report next.
Thank you. After observing our new police officer, Motts, but I haven't had any in-court experience with him, but I'm sure he's going to be able to handle objections very handily. Kevin?
I had nothing.
Okay, thank you. Now, committee and council members report. Lori, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mayor. The youth sports park is finishing out. We're finishing that project. Plans are being made for 4 more ball fields and to finish the road. So if you have any concerns or thoughts, make sure you let Sherry Proud know at the rec center, because it'll be happening within the next month or so. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Jill?
I don't have much. I just wanted to remind everybody with Trick or Treat Night coming up for everybody to be looking out for all of our little trick-or-treaters running around and be safe.
For sure. Tom?
The only thing I have, I was going to follow up on Dan's talk about First Avenue. We've been doing a lot of duct work there, and now we're going to start the railroad crossover. And we hear a lot of rumblings about traffic. Well, just bear with us, because there's going to be a lot of traffic in that area, and there's going to be a lot of construction in the next year and a half. So So just remember that it'll be wonderful when it's done.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mitch?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Okay. Bill?
Nothing for me tonight, Mayor, thanks.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved by Gill, seconded by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Is everyone aware that the birds give out on Halloween, they give tweets?
Thank you.
You're better than that, Don. You're better than that.